Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday to you. And as you get here, make sure that you say hello. Let me know that you're here. And where are you signing in from? Just give me an idea. I would love to know. As I'm getting everything all set up here right now. All right. Perfect. Let me make sure we are live everywhere. We're supposed to be live. Um, and hold, oh, there we go. All right. One more thing. And as I said, make sure you say hello and let me know that you're here. All right. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and get started. Let me get a sip of my coffee. I'm exceptionally excited and grateful to be here with you guys this morning for our Monday motivation, our Monday live chat, whatever you want to call it, right? And I've got a question for you this morning. And this all comes from some things that were going on for me as I was on my walk this morning. As you all are pretty used to, a morning reflection creates something else. And it's probably the same way with you as well. Maybe, maybe not, but that's how it kind of goes in my world. So the question is, have you ever looked back at a decision that you've made and thought, whew, I could have done that differently? And then suddenly your mind starts time traveling. Sorry. If I'd done that, then maybe this would have happened. This would be different. That wouldn't have happened. And the thing is that we all do that, right? So that spiral is perfectly normal, but it can have one of two paths. And what we do from the moment that all of that's going in our mind makes a difference. Because one path leads to shame and second guessing, and the other leads to wisdom and better decisions today. So you just have to decide, which way do you want to go? Simple question, right? Sorry. Allergies, crazy, right? So here's the shift. We can say to ourselves, I'm not here to judge my past self. I'm here to learn from her. That's what I was telling myself this morning. Because past me made decisions with the tools, the support, the guidance, the healing, and the awareness that I had at the time, right? And it's same for you, same for everybody. They make the best decision they can in the moment with the tools, the support, the healing, the awareness that they had at the time. Because we can all go back and look, especially when we were young, something that we might have said or done, and it's like, oh my gosh, if I hadn't done that, where would I be now? And a lot of it will go back to financial decisions, right? If I had only, when somebody said, oh, invest in this stock, and I felt like I shouldn't, and now I'd be a multimillionaire, right? I know, for instance, there was one time one of my relatives was given an opportunity to invest in a piece of property. It was a commercial property. It was like a corner lot, but where this property was, it looked like that'll never end up being worth anything. and they didn't have, and it wasn't a huge investment, but when you don't have a lot, even a little feels like a huge investment, right? And so this person did not do the investment. Now, they may have, if they had really believed in it and thought it was possible, was willing to take the chance, they might have gotten a loan. They might have done a lot of things to get that piece of property. But 5 years later, as this area was developing, that piece of property, and I think it was going to cost them $50,000 for this little corner lot. And it wasn't big. It was a little corner lot. 5 years later, that one lot was worth over $1 million. And so under those circumstances, what do? You look back and you say, oh my gosh, if I had done that, then I would be here, right? And that's because the present me, the present you, the present her has new eyes. So of course we can see it differently, right? I mean, if you think about it, if we knew all of those things in advance, we'd all be millionaires, right? It's what you do with the information that you have, but more than anything, it's how we look back at it and see it now. Because like I said, when there's a difference in, some people will go to shame and second guessing, and other people will lead to wisdom and better decisions today. So what this decision means is, the next time something like that comes up, you make a lot more decisions based on actually researching. And maybe if the person who told you was someone that all of that seems to work for them, you might go ahead and just go with their expertise, right? So present me has new eyes, and of course I see it differently. So another powerful reframe is, regret is often just evidence that you've expanded. You're not bad. You've actually upgraded. So I'm going to give you a simple 3-step process, which is easy to remember, to help you with this. So the first thing is naming things without drama. So this is the decision that I'm revisiting right now, because I was revisiting one this morning. And then you honor the need. What was I trying to protect or gain back then when this decision was made? And you'll have to take some time with that. And I'm going to get to the affirmation and journal prompt, which will walk us through a little bit of this. But the lesson to harvest from this is, what do I know now that I didn't know then? And what decision does that support today? Because the purpose of reflection isn't punishment, it's precision. We don't look back to live there, and we definitely don't want to do that. A lot of times when people start looking back and, second guessing the decisions they made, or looking at them and saying, oh, I wish I'd made a different decision, they can stay in that place for a while, which is definitely not a good place. It's the past. You can't change it. All you can do is move forward from it. And so one of the things I was reminding myself this morning, because to be honest with you, when there was a thing that popped up in my head this morning as I was walking, and as I was thinking about that decision that I had made, sometimes it's a lack of decision, right? You just let things go. But with the decision that I made, if I had made a different decision, oh my gosh, it would have been a huge difference. Yet at the time that I made that decision, it felt like the only decision possible. And so when I was looking back at it, I thought, okay, what would I do differently if this thing were to happen again and I would make a decision? How would I do that decision now? And that's where we want to look at. We don't want to look back to live there. We want to look back to pick up the lesson and keep walking. Because part of the thing that was coming up for me this morning as I was going through this when I was walking was that the belief that I have that sometimes eludes me, but I get back to it. This is what I'm trying to explain, is that everything that happens to us is to teach us, to move us into a different direction, right? And so there was something that I needed to learn for this stage of my life, that when that decision was made, that was the decision that would teach me what I needed to know now. I know that's an roundabout way to talk about it, but the thing is everything teaches us something if we allow it to. If not, we are bound to repeat it over and over again until we start pulling out the lesson from what we had, right? So we want to look back to pick up the lesson and keep walking, right? So let me go ahead and grab the affirmation here. Hold on a second. All right. Give me a second. I'll get it up on screen for you. All right. So our affirmation is, I release the need to rewrite my past. I extract the lesson, honor the version of me who chose it, and choose wisely now. See, that's not saying that you did anything wrong. It's saying it's okay. What's the lesson, right? So remind yourself, especially if anything's popping up, because, it's after the first of the year. Today is February 1st. There's so much, we go into the new year with this aspiration of all these things we're going to do. And majority of the time, they've already flown by the wayside by February 1st. And it's not that there's something wrong with us. It's that we're coming at it in the wrong way, or a way that doesn't serve us is a better way to say that, right? Because I don't want to say that we're doing anything wrong, because it's part of our lesson, right? We're not born knowing everything, and we usually don't die knowing everything either. We are learning and growing the entire time. And depending on how we pull out those lessons and use them is what we learn going forward. Because I will say, I'm not at the pinnacle of where I want to be right now yet, right? Most people aren't. No matter how successful people are, there's another layer that they're moving toward, right? And the thing is that what I can do today and how I handle things would have blown my mind a few years ago. I would not have been able to do it. But I learned the lessons and all the things that helped me to get here. Now, were all the lessons easy? No. But that's okay, because they were the lessons that I needed in the moment. And that's what I'm getting at. Get to a place where you can feel like you don't have to rewrite the past, because there's a beautiful journey, a symphony of notes in your entire life. I like to say that it's like everything that's happened in our life, everything that's out there, there's a symphony of notes that are just floating around us all the time. Like little pieces of notes just floating. And so we reach up and we pull them out to create this beautiful symphony of our life. And depending on what we need to learn, what will help us to get to this place we want to be, the place where we are now, where we're going to, we've got to pull those notes out. And even if those notes are like feel a little flat, we'll round them out. And so it's a beautiful thing. And to look back and say, that one was a lesson. That was definitely a lesson. And I used to, one of the things I would do to help make a lesson not feel so hard is I would just give them numbers, random numbers. And the bigger the number, the harder the lesson, or what felt like the harder the lesson, right? The bigger thing that showed up that I wasn't expecting. So I might see something and have something happen and say, well, there we go. All right, guys. I apologize. It was there was a little um, blip in the power of Flash. So I'm back, and hopefully you can still see and hear me. Let me go ahead, and I can't remember what my last part of my um, did my stuff went away. So hold on a second. Let me pull up the journal prompts real quick, and we'll keep going. Let's see. Let me get to it. It was on my screen, but it disappeared. So give me just a second. Hopefully, I finished my thought on that, that last part. All right. So, our journal prompt is, what decision am I replaying lately? And what did it teach me about what I needed then, what I value now, and how I want to move forward? So, as I always recommend, you get your notebook out, your journal out, you put the date, the affirmation, and the journal prompt. And then you set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes where you're able, that allows you to tap into the silence, connect with your God voice, your intuition, your subconscious mind, because there's this voice that's going on all the time. And most of the time we don't hear the amazing information that it's feeding us because we're so busy with everything. So this gives us that time to quiet down and actually hear that voice. So you set that timer for 10 to 15 minutes. You focus on your breath, you count it, you say breath in, breathe out, whatever it is you need to do to stay focused in the moment. And there's some different tips and tricks that I can give you along the way that help you to better get into that space of actually listening and hearing. And what you're going to do when the timer goes off, that's when you're going to pick up your pen or your pencil and you're going to write out this information. What decision am I replaying lately? And there may be more than one. I mean, sometimes there'll be things that come up every day that might trigger a memory of something that you said or did, or some decision that you made that didn't go as planned or didn't turn out the way that you wanted to. Write it down. And you could take this into every day of your life, not just for this journal prompt, right? Anytime something comes up, you go ahead and tap into, what am I replaying? What did it teach me about what I needed then in that moment? Now, sometimes what you needed wasn't this big, grandiose thing. It was to stay safe. Like I gave the example earlier about the person that was had the opportunity to make that investment in that property. The reason they said no was because they felt that it made them unsafe, that financially that decision was going to put them in jeopardy. And, it could have gone that way, and so they made the decision based on safety. So there are so many different reasons that we make the decisions we do. And it's uncovering what those are. What did you need in that moment that created that decision? And then maybe change it up from there. Say, okay, I made that decision because of this. And what do I value now? And how do I want to move forward from here? Because it's pulling out that lesson that maybe you've been regretting something that happened in your life for a long time. And it's time to find the lesson and move forward no matter what. So hold on, let me find where I'm at here. And to remind you, the purpose of reflection isn't punishment for a decision that you made. It's precision. We don't look back to live there. We look back to pick up the lesson and keep walking. That's the main thing, right? So today, instead of looking at things and saying, I should have known better, I should have done different, instead, say, I know better now. And I'm willing to choose from that place. How does that feel? I'm willing to choose from that place. Doesn't that feel better? You're not chastising yourself. I'm willing to choose from that place. I know better now. I know differently now. I understand differently now. I understand better. Because a lot of times it's not so much that you know better, it's that you understand why you made a decision. And now that that is not an issue, the next time something comes up, you make a different decision. But man, oh man, when you think back on things that have happened in your life, and if those things hadn't happened, you wouldn't be this amazing person that you are now. Puts it all in a different perspective, right? And, and I've alluded to it many, many times on my podcast. I have had some astronomical, amazing guests. And the more amazing they were, some of the bigger obstacles that came up in their life that they had to overcome, or they didn't have to overcome, they did overcome. And almost every single one of them have said, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't have this amazing life that I have right now. So start looking at these things that you made a different decision on. If you hadn't made that decision, look at how this amazing life that you live now might not be so amazing. And if you don't feel like it's amazing right now in this moment, it's because there's another lesson that's brewing, and it's going to get amazing if you allow it to. That's the whole thing. Everybody has things that happen in their life that can knock them down. And the people who get knocked down and get back up, there's a song about that, right? And keep going and learn that lesson. Oh my gosh, the way their life can go is amazing. And we all know people that have chosen the opposite. They've used the things that have happened in their life to make them a victim and keep them small. So you get to choose. And remember, life is delicious. So make sure you grab and savor each and every bite. And I will see you next time. Mwah! Love you guys.